Opioid epidemic grows across the country. Senator Bill Cassidy comes up with a way that he believes will help combat it, and he joins us to talk about that. Good morning, Senator. Impacting millions of people around the country. Let's first talk, if we could, about Tom Schindler resigning as Secretary of State after these charges of sexual harassment. I know you've commented on how you felt it was good for him to do that. Are you comfortable that everything's in place that needs to be? Is there some solution, legislative or otherwise, to this issue? Or is this an example of the system working?
Well, it's an example of the system working in one sense, but the fact that she was harassed and it went on for years should not be tolerated. Now, obviously, we don't know the full extent of it, but in my office, everybody's going through sexual harassment training. And it sounds like a drag. It may be a drag, but the point is that people have to understand that what you think is harmless may actually not be harmless to the person who's receiving it. In this case, I think the system needs to be strengthened a little bit.
All right, on to opioids. You're working on some amendments that you put on a bill that's come out of committee that would incentivize states to share prescription drug information so you don't have, as our Lee Zurich reported, a doctor who moves to Tennessee and starts turning into an alleged pill mill.
Yeah, so there's different aspects to the opioid epidemic. There's doctors who are overprescribing. There's fentanyl coming in from Mexico. We have to address all of that. One thing we're doing is saying, states, you have a big database of all the prescriptions being written by physicians. We need to make this real time, and you have to share it. If there's a fellow in Shreveport going between Arkansas, Louisiana, and Texas, getting prescriptions from the VA as well as from the private sector, we need to know that. So our database needs to communicate with the VAs, with Texas, and with Arkansas so that the physician prescribing knows it.
And you're confident that that would solve a big chunk of the problem?
It would, but there's actually a better technology we're also promoting, but that would hopefully address the issue of pill mills, doctors overprescribing, and that's a major portion of what's going on.
There are, as you know, lawsuits from primarily cities that are going after the manufacturers, alleging that they knew that this stuff was addictive and didn't say so. Should Congress step into that debate or let it play out in court?
I think that needs to play out in court, but there's a lot of other things we need to do. We're looking right now at trade-based money laundering. You've got $110 billion a year moving from the United States to Mexico, $110 billion. The federal government only gets about $7 billion. So what we're trying to do is how do we clamp down on that? If you eliminate the ability to finance illegal drug trafficking, you'll decrease supply.
I want to move on to the oil revenue sharing in just a minute, but you know, Congress can't agree that it's Wednesday, the Democrats and Republicans. Is there enough spirit there, enough of a drive to get something done?
Yeah, on opioids, absolutely. I just say that because it's not a blue issue, it's not a red issue, it's an American issue. And in fact, if you see the counties that Trump won, those counties he won disproportionately had lots of folks dying from opioids.
A lot of people in the Southeast.
There is despair, and folks were trying to address that.
You know, there's been a lot of applause because Louisiana got its first chunk of revenue sharing money, $66 million from federal offshore revenue, which is $90 million almost short of what has been projected over the course of the years from the so-called Go Mesa revenue sharing. So on the one hand, it's a great thing. On the other hand, it creates long-term a big gap. Is there hope that as oil prices rise, that will bounce back? Is there some other source of federal money?
A couple things to put it in perspective. When Obama put in the moratorium, it decreased rig activity, therefore decreased revenue. So what we're trying to do is, first, in the Tax Cut and Jobs Act bill, I was able to get an amendment that will raise the amount of money Louisiana receives in say, 2021 and 22. I forget the exact years. That will partially compensate. But it is also hoped that as rig activity increases, oil prices rise, revenue sharing increases, and that will backfill.
So you think that overall, if you're in favor of that, it will take care of itself over time?
Yes.
All right, Senator Bill Cassidy, we appreciate your time.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.